Welcome to Not Just Money with your hosts, Doretta and Lee. This isn't your typical podcast about finances. It's a podcast about all the money conversations we aren't having, sometimes not even with ourselves. Join us on this journey of hard truths, lived experience, and the wisdom that comes from both. Because money is never just about money.
Welcome to Not Just Money with Doretta and Lee. I'm Doretta,
I'm Lee.
and today we're talking about holiday spending. Why? Because the holidays will soon be here with all those promises of joy and connection and meeting and all the stress and drama of real life, overspending, and the guilt that follows.
It's mid-November as we record this, and the shops have already been filling up with holiday offerings for weeks.
I think it's been earlier than that. I swear there was Halloween stuff in the summer and then back to school, and then the Christmas stuff started popping out.
You're not wrong, but definitely from now until Christmas and beyond to the post-Christmas sales. And remember, it's not savings, it's a discount. It will be buy, piped in with all the holiday carols. And too often, buy means maxed out credit and ushering in the new year in debt. Ugh, I already feel depressed, and it isn't even Blue Monday yet.
The holiday season, which is supposed to bring us joy, is actually the most stressful time of the year. And I mean, think about it. All those messages that glorify the joy of family and togetherness, and they prey on all our hopes and all our insecurities. We can get pushed into a mindset that essentially says the way to show love is to buy more. And too often we fall for it, even though we know in our hearts that the joy in the season, the heart of the season, you can't buy it.
But the truth is, it's super hard to avoid this conditioning. And if you are someone who loves to gift, keep doing it. But know that there are different ways to gift that might not make you dread the start of 2026. So that's why we thought we'd help you think through the challenges now and plan to meet them head on. We don't want anyone landing in 2026 with a credit hangover that smells like regret, which I always liken to a week-old soggy sock left in a damp corner.
Very specific.
Well, I like to be visual. So, Doretta, on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressful do you find the holidays?
Me? Actually, not stressful. Maybe a two, but that's a really deliberate choice. I scaled way back in the holidays when my kids were small. I kept the traditions I liked and just let the rest of it go. What about you?
I love this season. Now, I don't celebrate Christmas from a religious point of view. I celebrate Christmas as a all things sparkly holiday. I generally get my tree up first weekend in November. My wreath is hanging on my door, and my family will complain that it is so big and fluffy they have to enter the house sideways to avoid getting stabbed by it. So, no stress, just excitement at a solid 8. But I love that you made a choice to scale down the holidays. What did you stop doing, and what traditions did you keep or make?
I think the two big things that I cut out were travel and extravagant gifts. And with the travel, I'll tell you, 1 year of packing up two babies and driving for 5 hours through a Canadian winter was more than enough. And gifts, we just chose not to emphasize them. We kept what mattered to us. I mean, mostly we kept little things, traditions, you know, things that I did as a kid, that I did with my own kids, and that I'm now doing with my grandkids. I mean, the specifics change and adapt over the years, but there's a kernel of continuity, and that makes me happy. Take Christmas trees, for example. Now, when my kids were little, we lived in the country and we went to a local Christmas tree farm and we cut down our own trees. I mean, it was the whole thing with the horse drawn wagon, all of that stuff.
Wow.
And it was lovely. Now I've gone for the simplicity of an artificial tree, but I still decorate it with the ornaments from my kids and now my grandkids. My parents, even my grandparents, some of the ornaments in my tree go back over 100 years.
We also do an artificial tree, and it's quite small. My husband did put his foot down when I showed him my older tree from my previous place, and we live in a condo. There's not a ton of extra space, and I tend to keep up my decorations for like 2 months, so I had to
Oh,
compromise.
no, 2 months. This is me shuddering in
But
dismay.
it makes me happy.
You do you. So holiday food is another thing that's really special to me. Turkey, cranberries, all that stuff, and baking. You know, I'm not much of a baker, but every year I still make my Scottish grandmother's shortbread. And I remember baking it with her and writing it all down because she never used recipes.
It's true. You're not a terribly good baker. I can attest to this. So I don't have any food things for Christmas. And I think it's because being Asian, all our holidays are built around what to eat. So I tend not to have any specific for Christmas. I mean, I am more likely to do hot pot than a turkey.
I have to have turkey. My daughter does Christmas dinner now, and it's usually not turkey. So I still do one, even though we end up eating it for weeks. So that was fun. A bit of a walk through our own holiday traditions. And relatively stress free or not, I don't think they were terribly expensive.
I think it's safe to say we've probably thought about holiday spending more than most people. And that's probably why it's less stressful for us because we have internalized these life lessons. Budgeting, yes. Making trade offs, doubly yes. But neither of us are immune to the pull of holiday spending. But where do you think all the spend pressure comes from during the holidays? I mean, it's not like anyone sets off to overspend what they can't afford to repay at a later date.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of forces at work. The holidays call out to some really basic human instincts. Our our longing to belong, to give, to share, to try to make things perfect. These are, I think they're emotional currents that run really, really deep. And then when you add to that all the myths around this time of year, what the perfect holiday is, what the perfect family looks like, how you should feel. I mean, just think of all those holiday specials.
Okay, so I have a confession. I watch all those holiday specials. Bring on the cheesy Christmas movies. Ironically, most of them talk about a holiday that's about family time rather than commercial gifts. Interesting, hey? So you think that at the heart of it, overspending can come from good intentions?
I think that's one place it comes from. Um, but I don't think it's the only place. I think it can also come from wishful thinking, and sometimes it can come from guilt and fear. The point is that wherever it comes from, we're surrounded by products and adverts and stories of what the holidays should mean and how we should feel about them. And we all want to show love and gratitude and generosity, especially at this time of year. Really, is it any wonder we get carried away? Because let me tell you, marketers know how to ride that train. They know how to make spending feel like the very best way to express those feelings.
Mhm.
So when we buy gifts, host dinners, decorate lavishly, we're not just spending money, we're trying to create feelings, connection, joy, nostalgia.
Think even redemption for what didn't go right last year.
Yeah, even that. I don't think, I don't think overspending is really about the numbers. I think it's about emotion. And holidays are emotionally loaded with memories and with expectations. And for so many of us, spending can become a way to try to recreate or to repair the past. The perfect childhood, Christmas, the togetherness we miss, the love we wish we could show. And then there are all the holiday stories and the images that surround us, and they can lead us to overspend trying to capture something that you can't actually buy.
That's so insightful. Yeah, in a weird kind of way, it's like you're trying to spend your way to happiness and belonging and control, and it doesn't actually work that way. And I think the way to change it isn't through guilt or restriction, it's through awareness. When you understand what emotion or story is driving you to spend, you can stop. and take a few minutes to think before you choose what you want to do.
Let's play a little game. Think about all the financial literacy sessions we've developed and all those studies we've conducted. What did we learn about what led folks to overspend around the holidays?
I'd start with the perfect holiday myth. I mean, that's what you've been getting at, right? All the ads show glowing families, gorgeous tables, and huge piles of gifts. And without even realizing it, we start chasing that ideal, thinking that that's what the holidays should be about. Spending becomes a way to manage the gap between what's real and what we think the holidays should look like. And in the end, it's really all about fitting in and being accepted. And sometimes our views on that are so misguided.
I think that's a huge one. We're social creatures. We're hardwired to want to be accepted by our group. And for sure the motivation can come from a happy place or a sad one. I mean, I'd say another one is emotional spending. Emotional substitution, when we try to soothe emotions that we'd rather not feel, like loneliness or sadness, guilt, boredom, anxiety, inadequacy. A lot of people really suffer over the holidays. The blues are a real thing. And I'll be honest, I struggle with Christmas. Pretty much all the tragic events in my life happened around Christmas. A lot of joyous ones too, don't get me wrong, but the sad ones, they're always there. And I think for many people, the holidays can stir loneliness and grief, stress, guilt, all those emotions. So buying something for yourself, for someone else, can offer a quick emotional lift that feels like comfort. The problem is that feeling evaporates really fast, and all the feelings are still there.
Yeah, and your bank account is definitely smaller. But then that's the trauma speaking. We all hurt and bleed the same way. When we are in a tough situation, the holidays with its positivity can be a kick in the gut. I'd say another big factor is family and cultural expectations. Maybe we grew up in families where love was measured or felt like it was being measured in giving and getting, or where financial struggles were hidden behind giving big. Those stories stick. We repeat them without realizing, often trying to meet invisible standards from childhood.
Oh, that is so true. But I think there's another dimension as well. Sometimes it's not that we're repeating patterns learned in childhood, but rather that we're trying to make up for what we lacked, what we missed, how we can fill that void. I've mentioned that my mother came from a very poor family and grew up during the Depression, and there was very, very little at Christmas or any other time. And I think that's what was behind her insistence on overspending at Christmas.
Maybe to heal her own wound.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I remember my daughter's first Christmas. She was born in the mid 80s. You weren't even born then, but there was a major famine in Ethiopia. Something like 1 million people died. And you couldn't turn on the television without seeing pictures of mothers and dying babies. And that was when Bob Geldof founded Band Aid with a lot of famous rock musicians, and they did the song Do They Know It's Christmas? That was actually the first of all those fundraising concerts that have been happening ever since all over the world that have raised millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I can't remember how many gifts my mother brought her first grandchild in total. I remember there were 28 different outfits. 28. Now you're a
Yikes.
mother. You know a 3-month-old child cannot wear 28 different outfits. They'll be a different size before you've even worked your way through the pile.
Yikes.
Now, I was so angry at the time. I'm a lot more compassionate now. I realized my mother was trying to heal something inside herself, but it completely turned me off buying a lot of gifts for Christmas. It turned that off for me forever.
So definitely holidays, not a driver of overspending for you.
Nope, but an important psychological insight.
Yeah, I mean, another major driver for many people is the marketing. And during the holiday
Oh, yeah.
season, marketers go into overdrive. I'm totally calling this out because I know a lot of their budget is spent on this season, and it's really hard to fight. Retailers know that we are primed at this time to spend. So, all those heavy hitting campaigns that make you feel all the feels come out for the fall, and sometimes even earlier now. There's actually real science behind this. When we buy something, our brain releases dopamine, which is the feel good chemical that's tied to anticipation and reward. It's not owning the thing that feels good. It's the finding and buying. And retailers use this against you. And especially during the holidays, they design experiences to keep the dopamine flowing. So you'll see things like flash sales, countdowns, free shipping thresholds, etc. And they go into overdrive. You'll see entire campaigns around scarcity and emotion, one day only, don't disappoint, show them that you care. Crazy times.
Very crazy times. And that whole Black Friday phenomenon, that takes it to new heights. When did that start anyway? I don't remember Black Friday. Certainly when my kids were growing up. I think it's an American thing that's come over the border. But when you throw in loss aversion and FOMO, fear of missing out,
Yeah. The point is, these marketing strategies completely bypass logic and go straight to emotion. And if you're tired, busy, or emotionally stretched, which we often are during the holidays, we're more likely to click.
and related to that is our comparison culture. You know, I said before, we're social creatures. We're basically hardwired to want to be accepted, to want to fit in. So when we see other people spending freely, or we see them post their purchases, their holiday activities online, we can feel pressured to match that. Psychologists call this social proof, the idea that normal is what other people do. And boy, marketers can really put the pressure on this during the holidays. So many pretty things, so many fancy dinners. We want to be part of it all, post
uh,
our own images. It's like the point of the holidays is to turn our experiences into highlight reels. We see what other people post, it all looks so wonderful, and unconsciously we start measuring our self worth against them. So spending becomes a way to catch up or keep up.
that's a lot of heavy stuff. But know that so much of what you see isn't real. And I think we all know that deep down, but I still have to say it out loud. It's curated, it's brand sponsorship, it's expertly put together and paid for by the brands that want you to buy their stuff. It's fake. But I think one of the big takeaways here is that most of the time we overspend not because we're careless, but because we care a lot.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, what we really care about isn't spending money. It isn't even the stuff we're buying. What we really care about is the emotional stuff, belonging, joy, meaning. Money's just how we try to achieve it. And mostly, it doesn't work.
Then let's look at what does work, because it is absolutely possible to have wonderful holidays without breaking the bank. We promise.
And it all comes down to,
What pretty much all money issues come down to leading with your values. I know I'm going to start sounding like a broken record soon. If you guys let out a big groan, come on, stick with us. And remember, the big rocks and the giant glass jar, well, think about your holiday glass jar. You need to put your big rocks in, the things that are most important to you, and they have to go in first. I really believe that if we take the time to think through what we truly value, what we want the holidays to mean, we will then be much better able to align our spending with what's important to us without breaking the bank.
and yeah, I mean, the big learning here is that holidays don't need to be about the stuff.
I cannot imagine that stuff are the big rocks in your jar. If they are, please write to us because we will stage an intervention. But stuff often is a way of how we deal with what's really beneath it. And as Doretta said, it's about our feelings. So maybe Instead of asking ourselves how much we can afford to spend, and we know a lot of us blow right past that budget, especially if we are young, we should ask ourselves, what really matters to me this year? And to be clear, stuff can be on your list. Gift giving is totally okay. We just want you to think about what else might be important.
So, what does that look like, aligning holiday spending with values? Give me some examples.
Sure. I think a good place to start is with consciously identifying your values with regard to the holidays. Write them down. Then pull out that list whenever you get tempted by holiday deals. For me, it's all about family time. When I do gifts, I prioritize the ones where it brings us together. And now I'm acutely aware that my daughter will absorb my bad habits. And that's something that gets scarier as we get older. It's amazing to me how she internalizes what I say and what I do. Right now, she's little, so she loves stuff. I mean, she also loves garbage, so it isn't just new toys and gifts, but it's just excess all the time. And, my husband's family, they're into gift giving. Like that's part of their tradition. And then to top it off, her birthday is right before the holidays, so it's gifts upon gifts. And our tradition in that respect is that we don't let her keep all of it. I know some parents are probably going, wow, you're like the meanest mom ever. But we let her open all her presents for her birthday and then her Christmas presents on Christmas. But she's allowed one item, maybe two, to keep from each event. The rest we donate or give away. It's hard, but she's living a life I could only have dreamed of as a child. But she doesn't know it. But sharing and caring for others is such an important value for me. That's how I try to align my values. What about you?
Um, I'd say for me, it's also about family, about connection and tradition, and building memories together in a calm, quiet way. And I want to really emphasize that calm, quiet way. It started with our own kids. From the time they were really little, we played down the commercial. We made a conscious decision to keep Christmas very low key and just focus on quiet family time. There are always new jammies on Christmas Eve, and they tended to stay on most of Christmas Day. There were always Christmas books, a family game, a long, slow brunch, which is my husband's specialty, and then a traditional turkey dinner, which is mine. So, pretty low key overall.
I think the advantage of writing down your values, especially if you have a tendency to overspend, is that you have a reference point. Once you've decided what is meaningful, you can focus and prioritize your spending. And when those emotional triggers show up, stress, guilt, comparison, just stop. Ask yourself, is this purchase aligned with my values or am I trying to soothe something else? Now, using cash, tracking your spending, or waiting 24 hours or more before buying gives you space to choose meaning over impulse. Sometimes putting items in your digital cart is enough to give you that dopamine shot, and you didn't have to press buy. It's like don't go to the grocery store hungry. Don't shop when you're not in full control. Talk with your family about what matters most. Like Doretta gave some beautiful examples of her holiday traditions. And you might all agree that less really can be more. Because when your money and values are aligned, the season feels richer, calmer, and far more memorable. In my case, I asked my husband, should we get this for Christmas? His answer, 10 out of 10, is no. So find yourself that partner, friend, coworker. Sometimes it helps when someone else tells you it's not worth it. Or put it back, Lee.
Okay, so the basic idea is to spend more thoughtfully and to spend on what really matters. But how about some concrete, practical ways to help people rein in the spending and focus on their big rocks?
Well, we normally wrap up with three key takeaways. Today, we're going to do things a bit differently and give you our favorite ways to manage holiday spending to focus where it matters most. All right, okay, I'll start. Um, have a spending plan, which is kind of like a budget on steroids. Don't just think about how much you're going to spend, but also on what you'll spend it on and include everything: gifts, food, and events, and include extras like travel or tips. Tie the plan directly to your values, the big rocks in your holiday spending jar. Whether your priority is traveling to see family, experiences with kids, a big ticket tech gift, or splashing out on New Year's Eve, plan your spending around what matters most and let the rest of it just go. Oh, and make sure there's a catch if you don't stick to the plan. It makes it a little spicy.
What do you mean by catch?
A consequence, a punishment. It's easier to stick to your limits if you have skin in the game.
Uh, and when it comes to purchases, arm yourself against marketers and retailers, and especially against online shopping overspend. Don't let the urgency messages from retailers get to you. There's always stuff. Remember our talk about creating friction in the buying cycle? Well, double down on that. Delete all your credit card information online so you can't buy with a single click. Unsubscribe from retail emails. Leave items in your cart for 24 hours or more. And use cash or debit for better awareness, because that's money you already have. And don't fall for the holiday deal pressures. Sales often continue right into January. We've talked about this a lot in our episodes in the basics. Go back and review.
Good pro tip. Rethink gift giving. I always like to say, even Santa checks his list twice. I know, I think it's really cute. But there's lots of ways to cut back on gift giving. Here are a few. Keep gift giving to the children. Forgo it all and take a vacation. Set dollar limits. Try a secret Santa exchange with the price limit. Or look at homemade gifts like photo albums, drawings, or coupon books for family activities. These can all be more meaningful than stuff from a store. And get the kids involved in making gifts.
If you're a parent, remember that making the holidays magical doesn't have to mean spending a lot. It's the feeling of wonder and togetherness that they remember the most. Children value time, attention, and tradition way more than price tags.
And besides, some of them can't count, so it's fine.
I can remember when my son they were allowed to ask for one gift from Santa, and he wanted a yellow plastic whistle on a string. That was it. He wanted a yellow plastic whistle and a string. And my husband and I had this big debate about surely Santa should bring him something else. And then we decided, no, he gets to ask for one gift. And that's what he wanted. And the funny thing is, when he went off to university, I actually found that yellow plastic whistle on a string at the back of one of his drawers.
Love cannot be measured in money.
Cannot. So with kids, try the 4 gift rule: something they want, something they need, something to wear, and something to read. That was pretty much the tradition in our house. Keeps things simple, and it still feels special.
And while we're on kids, make a point of keeping family traditions alive. The good ones, the ones that mean a lot to you. Sing carols, read holiday stories, and watch holiday movies. Turn tree decorating into an event with music and cocoa and stories about old ornaments. The point is to do it together. These rituals anchor kids emotionally and remind them that love and connection, not money, are what make the holidays magical.
And I would add to that to be sure to talk with your kids about what makes your family's tradition special. Social media and peer pressure can fuel more, but you really can help your children understand and value meaning over stuff.
Social media, just turn it off. Just walk away from the scrolling, live the life you want, and be honest about what you can afford. We promise that it will make for a better holiday and an even better new year.
Yeah, I mean, when we go overboard and overspend or over holiday, it's just a flash in the pan and it's over. But that debt and the trade offs you'll make, they'll linger for months, years, maybe into your retirement. And no one says you can't let loose next year with a little pre planning. Or maybe you've prepared to host the best holiday ever because you've made different choices this past year. And to those, I say cheers.
Yep, absolutely. If you have planned to buy all the gifts this year because that's important to you, go for it. But remember, gifts aren't the only thing of value. Think about giving time rather than things. Offer to help with childcare, shovel snow, or cook for someone. For a new mom or an elderly relative, these kinds of gifts can mean a lot more than a purchase gift.
Yeah, I think experience presents are also often more highly valued than purchase gifts. Think of movie night and dinner at home. There's actually research that shows people feel more joy from shared experiences than they do from material items.
I think it has to do with the level of connection, too. And, food also makes great gifts. Hint, hint. But it doesn't have to be complicated. Your favorite cookie recipe, chocolate covered nuts, peanut brittle. If you're super ambitious, maybe jam or pasta sauce or cranberries. I mean, packaged in festive jars from the dollar store, or even put it in a basket. Sign me up.
Okay, this is one of my favorites. Think secondhand and vintage for everything from gifts to clothes to tableware. I have scored some amazing gifts, and for me, it's a lot more fun than ordering from Amazon. Vintage fashion is also great fun, and you can glam up your New Year's Eve celebration at a fraction of buying new. And if you aren't blessed or burdened with an infinity of family holiday dishes and decor, you'd be amazed what you can find for a few dollars at Goodwill or Value Village.
Absolutely. Host creatively. You really don't need to spend a fortune entertaining. Try a potluck dinner, a drinks and dessert afternoon or evening, or even a high tea. Bringing people together is what matters, not gourmet menus or fancy decor. And if you really want that turkey, go over to Doretta's. I hear she's having turkey.
And there will be a lot of leftovers. What I've always done to manage holiday food and entertainment costs is loyalty points. I don't use them all year. I save them all up for the holidays. Okay, that's a lot of suggestions. So, one final suggestion each. Mine is create your own new traditions. Start a board game night, a neighborhood walk with Coco, or a holiday volunteering ritual. Bake cookies together, go skating, have a pajama movie night, drive around to see the holiday lights. Doesn't cost much, but it creates lasting memories. And these kinds of activities aren't just for kids. They can be both meaningful and fun. Liberate your inner child. Try these things with your friends.
Cute. All right, my final thought, and it's this. Wherever you fall on the holiday spectrum, from dread in the pit of your stomach to the most wonderful time of the year, having a plan is the best way to minimize the stress and maximize the holiday cheer. Because here's the thing, planning your holiday spending does not have to mean cutting back your budget and then seeing what you can manage to achieve with what's left. Planning your holiday spending should really be about connecting with what's really meaningful to you and letting your money decisions reflect that. And after it's all said and done and you have money left over, feel free to save it or invest it. Or fine, if you must, buy that ugly Christmas sweater.
Agreed. So, on that thought, that's it for today. We've thrown out a lot of suggestions, and we'd love to hear about yours. So, if you have thoughts you'd like to share on holiday spending, saving, and creating memories, just drop us a line at notjustmoneypodcasts@gmail.com.
Good talk. You've been listening to Not Just Money with Doretta and Lee. Click on the show's description for links to resources related to today's conversation. Our aim is to share sources that provide objective information that can help you make informed financial decisions. Please rate and review our show. If you'd like to get in touch with us, email us at notjustmoneypodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to be featured on the show, you can send us your questions and comments by written email, audio file, or video file. Please include your name and city. This show is produced and edited by Lee, with original music by Leo Zhang cello and artwork by John Tu. Now for some legalese. Please note that the views expressed by our hosts and guests are theirs alone and should not be viewed as financial advice. This podcast is intended to be entertainment and educational in nature. Please seek additional professional support or information before acting on any podcast information. As always, good talk.